bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Yeah, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? All right. Quit goofing off, church. What is up, everybody? Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Tuesday, February 16th, 47 days into the new year, 317 days left if you're counting leap year. We are live from the bunker right here in downtown Burbank, California. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I'm your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Tonight, we have a very special guest live from the UK. Nick Jankel is with us, and it's time to switch on. He's a very smart guy. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Steve and Dawn Hess with us, and the little Ron Felber for good measure. They're going to be here for the first time on Fade to Black to tell us about what really happened on that night in the Mojave Desert back in 1989. The call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. Oh, yeah. Wow. All right, let's get settled in. Let's do this. Man, I'm in a great mood. And I say this every single night, but you can tell, can't you? It's because of Life Change Tea. I say it every single night. I've never had a dramatic change in my life, ever, like Life Change Tea. Maybe the first time, 1983, landed in Los Angeles, and Rob Cazares and Brian Olsen took me to In-N-Out Burger. That was a life changer. But since then, 33 years ago, Life Change Tea. Just go to getthetea.com. Use the promo code Jimmy. Go and do it. Change your life. I'm serious. It's dramatic. Everything there. All right. Let's go. Let's get this show cracking. We've got so much stuff. This is the big week. That's right. This Friday, the 14th Annual Conscious Life Expo. It's this weekend, February 19th through the 22nd at the LAX Hilton. Just go and click on the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. And if you can't attend, just get the live stream. It's right there. It's posted. The schedule is up. Friday night, we're going to be doing a live broadcast of Fade to Black in the main room with our guests, David Wilcock, Corey Good, Sean Stone, Dean Ryan, Linda Moulton Howe, William Henry, Mike Barra, Rosemary Guiley, Laura Eisenhower, Nick Jankel, Grant Cameron, and Kelly Sullivan. Yes, live Friday night. Get the live stream. You're going to be able to see Fade to Black in living color. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Then on Saturday, hosting the Ancient Aliens panel. That's going to be amazing. Why? Well, the panel's going to be great, but we are presenting Linda Moulton Howe with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And if you can't be there, you're going to want to just get the live stream and see it. 104 speakers and panelists, 100 free presentations. You want to go at the LAX Hilton. Get your tickets. If you're in Los Angeles, fly in. If you're not, drive in, hitchhike. 104 speakers. ConsciousLifeExpo.com. We're going to be there all 3 days. Get the live stream. Come and hang out with us. And the banners are right there at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Then we have Contact in the Desert. That's June 3rd through the 6th in Joshua Tree, California. Starting next week, we'll be giving away free tickets and passes for that, too, as well. And it's amazing. 3,000 people gathered together out in Joshua Tree, California. Then right after that, that's right, Roswell. Need I say more? All right. And Nick Seneca Jankel just sent us a text from the UK. You know what he says? Hi. Nick is ready to go. And I don't like to type, when I'm live on the air. Rita, send him a text and just let him know we're all good. All right. Let's get this show cracking. I'm fired up. Man, we got Nick Jankel. He is smart. And I am drinking coffee. So I should be good for tonight's show. Let's get this show cracking. I'm ready. Are you? Are you feeling ready? Are you up? Are you uppity? Today, Ice-T is 58 years old. Unbelievable. I'm just going to let that go right there. I've known him for at least 20 years. We go back. We go way back. I spent New Year's Eve with him once at his house. And no shenanigans. We were working. But Ice-T today is 58. Cool dude. Real cool. Our dead guys' birthdays today are Sonny Bono. I know I do this every year, but I have to if we're doing a show. Sonny Bono, 1935 to 1998. Died at the age of 62. Yeah, he was a recording artist, record producer, and an actor. But he was half of the pop duo Sonny and Cher. And also in the second half of his career, he was a politician. He was the 16th mayor of Palm Springs from 1988 to 1992 and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from California's 44th District from 1995 until his death. His CBS variety show, Sonny and Cher, ran from 1971 to 1974. And the crazy thing about everything that I just presented to you, he was mayor for 4 short years. He was a member of Congress, in California's House of Representatives, for just 3 short years. It's really crazy. And then Sonny and Cher ran from 71 to 74, 3 short years. But yet, he had such a dramatic effect on the United States, on pop culture and everything else. The guy left his mark. He was the only, and will remain, the only member of Congress to have scored a #1 pop single on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart. That's my prediction. I'm sticking to it. He will remain the only guy to pull that off. And leads me to Twitter. Man, I'm in a good mood. Leads me to Twitter right now. Follow us on Twitter. Who is the better singer? Sonny or Cher? That's right. I said it. I'm going to stick to it. Let's see what Twitter does right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. I said it. Man, I almost feel guilty. A lightning bolt is going to just crash through the roof here at the bunker. Take me out during the show. You can email throughout the show. Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Simple. Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter @JChurchRadio. Tonight, live from England, Nick Jankel. He's going to be with us, and it is time to switch on. And I'm sure it's 4 o'clock in the morning right now in the UK, and I don't think he's brewing tea. I think he's making espresso. Tomorrow night, Steve and Don Hess right here. Ron Felber's going to be here with them. And for the first time, we're going to discuss what happened during the Mojave incident. On this day in history, 1923, big day. That's right, because in Egypt, English archaeologist Howard Carter enters the sealed burial chamber of King Tut. And here's a Fader fact. Are you sitting down right now? Listen, if Apple didn't hold $181 billion of U.S. money overseas, it would owe the U.S. $59 billion in taxes. Yeah, straight shooting Apple. Yeah, it's playing that game. Another lightning bolt is going to strike through the bunker. But it's true. $181 billion overseas. Wow. Crazy. You know, and thinking of that, man, you know what? I love a good conspiracy. We all know this, right? And last night, I talked about what is going on with the current POTUS bid. There is definitely something afoot there. But while we wait for that to play out, last night at the end of the show, we got a phone call from Christopher. You remember that? And he wanted to know what I thought about Scalia's death. And so today I started to dig a little deeper, and more on that in a minute. But because, well, look, while I was researching and putting the show together today, I was reading about the life of Sonny Bono and was reminded about the show we did with Bob Fletcher a few months back when he mentioned that Bono was looking into military spending corruption in D.C. and was ready to go public, that Sonny was angry. Then, boom, he hits a tree while skiing. Now, was there a connection with what Bob Fletcher was saying? Bob Fletcher said there was. I don't know. But there was talk about this going back as far as 2008. If you do some research on it, yeah, they were talking about this. But the story died on the vine. Went nowhere. Okay, before I go into Gunderson and everything that he was saying about Sonny Bono and certainly Bob Fletcher, yes, you know, was there a conspiracy? Was he killed? You go into the autopsy reports about Sonny Bono, which is what I want to talk about now, by the way. You go into those autopsy reports and what had happened. You know, Sonny had a black eye and a busted lip and all of this stuff. Well, anyway, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? There are many, many issues right now surrounding the death of Justice Scalia. None of them are normal. And it didn't take very long for this conspiracy to grab hold and quickly spread. It's all over the net right now. It's even in the mainstream media. Really, seriously. And this is the thing. Some of it is pretty out there. But the thing is, for me, is that it all just smells a little dirty. And I like my things a little dirty. You know this. And when I get a whiff of some mud, I don't stop. You know, quoting Steve Martin here from My Blue Heaven. I just likes my stuff a little dirty. But it's true. And when it's like that, you just don't want to let it go. And you shouldn't. Things are never what they seem, my friends. Ever. When I was a kid, I was 15 years old. I looked up to some neighbors of ours that were in the Army band with my dad, Steve and Tree. Okay, this couple, they were cool. And I looked up to them. They were both musicians. And I remember one of them had signed, maybe both, but one of them signed my yearbook. You know, to have somebody outside of high school sign your year, you know, they were just two people that I really admired as musicians. Well, anyway, Steve signed my yearbook. Dude, and never forget, things are never what they seem. You know, and He kind of explained that to me as a kid. He explained it. And I get it now. Things are never what they seem. Ever. I've lived my life by that, and I've never been wrong. Ever. The theories surrounding Scalia's death are all over the place. Okay? They are. Alex Jones, in an emergency transmission, he posted on Facebook, and he said, and I'm quoting, the question is, was Anthony Scalia murdered? Now, honestly, with that, and with what we know now, this is a pretty darn good question to ask, and I got to give it to Alex. I do. It was smart and probably started the ball rolling. Then we have the site harddawn.com, which speculated that the Illuminati might be responsible. Seriously, calling Leonard Nimoy, yes, Spock, who died last year, they called him the wild card in this equation, and I'm quoting here. I'm still digesting this take, but there you go. That's where things are going. And a number of sites have made reference to a so-called heart attack gun, a secret CIA weapon that they probably used. All of this is out there. Now, that's the conspiracy side, and it's okay to question everything. We know that. I'm not discounting a heart attack gun. It could be real. It's fun to read. But we're talking about Scalia's death here. And in some cases, we have to be serious. Put our serious glasses on, our serious mask, and then go out and investigate. You have, Rita, you need to, yes. Okay, hang on for a second. Yes, we are here. And I'm live at the moment. I don't know. We are good. Please. I can't wait to talk to him about this when he comes on. Please stand by. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, I can move on. Where was I? My thoughts. Somebody help me. Where was I? Oh, okay. Now check this out. So that's the conspiracy side of stuff, right? Okay. Yes, we're good. Yes. But you have a whole series of decisions that were made by a Texas County judge. Her name was Cinderella Guevara, who took charge in the aftermath of Scalia's passing when two justices of the peace sought out by those at the ranch could not make it to the site at all. Neither of them. Don't know why. And I guess that Guevara was within her rights to declare Scalia dead without having seen a body under Texas law. But this isn't just another body, is it? This is a member of the U.S. Supreme Court, one of the highest officials in the judicial branch, number one. Therefore, one of the highest officials in our government. Guevara did not order an autopsy. The same decision that the Scalia family made when speaking to an El Paso funeral home that received his body. Say what? Does that make any sense to anybody? If that's my family member, Anthony Scalia, the Supreme Court Justice, dies at the age of 79, I don't care what the circumstances are, you got to get an autopsy. That's all. I may be wrong, but I know that I am not. But isn't that the very first thing you would do if you're a Texas County judge with one of the most important people in the country? That's the first thing you would do. You get an autopsy. The owner of the ranch told the San Antonio Express that the judge was found with a pillow over his head. I'm quoting here. Now, honestly, this is a very strange thing to say. No matter what is meant, it's strange. And on top of that, why would you say anything at all? Anything. It's none of your business. This statement alone calls for an autopsy, an inquiry. There is still time to act right now because Scalia isn't lying in repose at the Supreme Court until Friday. Today is Tuesday, and his funeral isn't until Saturday. But you know what? Nothing will happen. I know this, and these are just the hard facts in this case. It's disturbing to me. It's like every step that something could have been done, something could have been questioned, hasn't. But for me, and if you go back to the phone call when Christopher called into the show last night, it's the soft facts in the case that are the most damning. When you're on vacation with your friends, right? You're out. You're hanging with your buds. Who starts breakfast without everyone at the table? It just doesn't happen. Your friends don't do that to you. Right? Heard at the table should have been this question. I might be wrong. You know what? Maybe his friends are a little different than mine or yours. But the question at the table should have been, hey, where's Anthony? Anybody seen Anthony? Should we go get Anthony? Can't start breakfast without him. Somebody go wake up Anthony. We'll wait. Somebody go to the front desk. Have him called. Go to his room. Knock on the door. Make sure he set his alarm. Did he have a wake-up call? Where's Anthony? That's what I've done it 50 times in my life. And you know what? The times where I didn't have a wake-up call, where I was supposed to be the person getting woken up, there was a knock at the door. Church, come on, man. We're eating breakfast. Oh, man, I forgot to set my alarm. My cell phone, my this, my that. Every excuse that I had, right? For not getting up on time, for being that dude. But your friends come and check on you, don't they? That's what they do. And it didn't happen. Aside from everything else in this case that feels a little funky, that didn't happen. And I'm being serious about this. It's these soft facts that raise the red flags. And then you had the after the fact soft facts. They actually left without him. When does that ever happen? It just doesn't, does it? Because where is that question? Hey, we need to go. Someone go get Scalia. Just make sure Scalia is up and showered. Because we got to go. We're here to hunt, right? Someone go get Scalia. But no, they didn't. They just left him behind. What friends do that? I don't know. I'm really confused about this. You know, because apparently now, and I'm not saying anything is fishy, but now everyone has an alibi, right? That alibi. Hey, I keep saying hey, but that's what we're dealing with. Everybody's got an alibi, and that alibi is, hey, we weren't there. We were at breakfast, and then we went hunting. That's what's going on. If you think about it, take this story, flip it over 180 degrees, and we're on to something. It just doesn't feel right. Now, seriously, he was 79. I get that. 79 years old, lived a good life, right? He probably just died in his sleep. I get that. Well, then, that's exactly why you check on your friend when he doesn't get up for breakfast. This is Fade to Black. I'm angry. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I am angry. There is something here. If you go down the checklist, boom, 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 all the way down, the security detail that should have been with him, right? You know, my friends, there is a Supreme Court security detail of some kind. Justice is out, Supreme Court just out wandering the country going out. You know, there's a security detail with him. Is it the Secret Service? Don't know. Is it the Marines? Don't know. Special Ops? Don't know. U.S. Marshal Service? Don't know. But you know there is a security detail on him. What time are you getting up in the morning, Justice Scalia? Well, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock and have breakfast. Got it. Check. And he doesn't show up for where? It's just nuts. And then it falls apart from there. Somebody allowed him to lie dead for hours. And then the quote that we get from the ranch owner, oh, he had a pillow on his head when we found him. A pillow on his what? Oh, well, it wasn't on his face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. You just did. Well, I meant to say, it was above his head. It wasn't on his face. Well, but you know what? What you just said was fishy. Think about that. Think about that. Now, Nick is ready. He's in the background. He is. He's in the batter's box. We got him going. It's all good. But I want to leave you with this before this break. Wednesday, tomorrow morning, was supposed to be an historic moment in Phoenix, a big moment in political history, when the Satanic Temple was going to deliver the invocation at a city council meeting in the name of religious freedom. Then the council changed its mind because the city council replaced the invocation with a silent prayer. Yeah, which is hilarious and devilishly smart, if you ask me. But now, the city council in nearby Scottsdale has accepted the temple's request, allowing them to do an invocation. Right? Out loud, apparently. They are expected to give the prayer sometime in April. But rumors are right now, it's going to be silent. This is Fade to Black. I just had to do that. I just couldn't resist. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Nick Jankel live from the UK. When we come back off of the break, this is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back with Nick Jankel right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, Give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletzky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Combat, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight we have special guests live from England, the UK. Nick Jankel is with us, and it is time to switch on. There's a lot of stuff to talk about tonight with Nick, so get ready. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Steve and Dawn Hess here with author Ron Felber. We're going to talk for the first time on Fade to Black about what really happened on that fateful evening in the Mojave Desert back in 1989. If you heard us over on Coast to Coast this past weekend, you got a little taste of it. But tonight we're going to fill in, or tomorrow night we're going to fill in the blanks. But right now it's about Nick Jankel. He is a Cambridge-educated wisdom teacher, philosopher of human potential, spiritual activist, and the author of the best-selling book, Switch On, Unleash Your Creativity and Thrive. He is a sought-after international keynote speaker, TV host on BBC and MTV, and the creator of Breakthrough Biodynamics, a comprehensive and cohesive integration of the latest science and timeless wisdom to drive practical change in self and systems. Nick is CEO of leadership company Switch On Leadership, which works with leading companies like Genentech, Intel, and the BBC, and startup wisdom media and education company Switch On Life. Nick has recently launched the Switch On 21-Day Breakthrough Challenge, designed to help anyone break through anything that is blocking them and turn spirituality into reality. His website is nickjankel.com. I'm nervous. Nick, I'm nervous because you are smart. I'm not. Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We're all good with Nick. Nick is a Cambridge-educated wisdom teacher, philosopher of human potential, spiritual activist, and the author of the best-selling book, Switch On, Unleash Your Creativity and Thrive. I would like to welcome back live from the UK, Nick Jankel. Nick, how are we?
We are good. We are good. I'm hoping this is a much better sound for you.
Yes, we are way good, Nick. Way good.
Okay.
Yeah, say it for me.
Phew.
Yes. Phew. Okay. All right. Now let's jump into this. When you are speaking to an audience like Google, and I watched the entire presentation, is when Google comes to you, what are they looking for? Are they looking for individual improvement in their staff? Are they trying to improve Google? How are they looking at it?
Well, I think these days a smart company knows that the two things are the same. By improving your teams, getting people more creative, collaborative, purposeful, motivated, excited, passionate, possibly even ethical and sustainable, then it impacts the company as a whole. And certainly if the company's paying you, they are probably more interested in the company's well-being than any individual. You've got to be honest about that, I think. But for me, I go in there selling them the idea of breakthrough creativity, breakthrough leadership, and I give them that, but I'm also using it as an opportunity to help switch on individuals with sort of covert ops messages around love, connection, purpose, kindness, compassion. I don't go in there selling that. That's not the headline bill.
Right.
But that's what I see my role as doing.
Every time I've worked for some major companies, and they always bring in somebody motivational, somebody to do exactly that, management training, improve yourself, and you go through it, and you sit through it for a day. Sometimes it's a 2-day workshop. You sit through. You're good for, it's all rah-rah team, right? Everything is good to go. And a week later, everybody is right back to where they were before, the team came in to speak to the company. Why is that? Why do we fall back into our ruts?
Well, there's a double whammy on that, because as individuals, it's very hard to put our rah-rah aha moments into practice, because we have old habits, old beliefs that are stronger than the new feelings. So that's why this kind of work, this kind of breakthrough work, is a lifetime's commitment. It takes time to rewire your nervous system. So on an individual level, it's one of the great challenges of this work is like, I felt so amazing at the workshop you had, and I felt so loved and connected to my everything. And then last week I was back, popping the alcohol or whatever it is that we do. So that's one sort of thing that my work tries to engage with, that reality, rather than pretend it's not there. But an even stronger challenge in an organization is it has a culture, which is kind of like a communal nervous system, and that it also needs to be rewired. So that I often do both sort of motivational leadership work, and I also consult to the company on how can you change the way you do things around here, the way people talk, the way people have conversations with each other, the way meetings run, that actually brings to life the reality that you want people to show up fully, show up on fire, bring their full self to work, and not say you do, and then really the culture tries to shut people down and put them back in the box. And I'm all about bringing people out the box, and it makes no sense for me to give people a one-day workshop on coming out the box and then have a really lovely, beautiful cubicle box to go back into.
Have you found your bliss?
Definitely. Absolutely. 42 years after birth, I can say absolutely found my bliss. And I now guide my life by that feeling. Not necessarily bliss as in pleasant. I make a distinction between bliss being when you're on the edge of your life, in the zone, learning, growing, challenged. It's not always pleasant. It's not always happy. But yeah, I definitely found my bliss.
With everything that is going on right now in the world, Nick, and it's a world in chaos. There's no question about it. It's something that we witness every day, not only through the mass media, but our neighbors, our jobs. Things are tense right now around the world. Do you see a dramatic increase in your consultation and how people are approaching you, saying, you know what, it's now or never with us?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I still think there's an awful lot of resistance to transformation. And our little ego, our pesky ego, the part of us that's always commenting about everything we do,
right?
It doesn't really want to change. And so anyone who works in the change game, in transformation, has to contend with the desire of our ego to lock everything down and keep it all the same as it was before, even though the ship is sinking, the flames are burning. Our ego would rather be in control than it would risk actually being really happy and peaceful. So we have to deal with that all the time. So yes, there's a heating up at the moment in the world. The pot is hot. Organizations are really challenged by digital technology. Younger people come into the workforce who don't want to just toe the line. What an organization even means. What does that mean these days when they were designed in the 1920s and 30s? So there's a lot of definite need and desire and want for change. But here's the rub of all change. In order to have change, we have to change ourselves. And that's the bit no one really wants to do. They want the outcomes, not the inputs.
Do you feel, I want to talk about some other stuff right after the break, but you're in the UK. And with everything that has gone down in Paris and Belgium, these are your neighbors, and these are not only that, but you have Crimea, and things are a little bit nutty right now over in Europe. Is there a change in consciousness in London proper? Is there a tense situation over there that you also have to deal with?
Yes, I mean there is the challenge with the times that I think we're living in is. People know they want a change of consciousness. And there are definitely green shoots of that change. In London, in Europe, in LA, in New York, Singapore, there are people who are turning to new ways of doing things. But to get to that conscious shift that people want, they have to know what it is and have a language for it. And at the moment, there's a lot of questions, but not many answers. And so what I'm trying to do with my work is ground my understanding of conscious change in science and in logic, so that all the people who have been brought up on a diet of Western education around logic and evidence can get with the program, because a lot of them just can't access New Age languaging. They can't access the grammar and the metaphors of the New Age movement. And that's blocking them from embracing a new worldview that can deal with the traumas of Paris and the terrors of being blown up on a bus.
I can't imagine going through what the tube and the London bus bombing stuff that you guys went through. We went through obviously 9/11 here, and when that happens, and Paris, what went down there, and the tense situations that are in Belgium, that when that happens, the society as a whole is dramatically punched in the face. It's like a ball-peen hammer to the forehead, where, you have to sit back and wonder, what is going on around us? Why is this happening to us? And it's dramatic. And so is there a difference with the New Age look at this today versus what was going on in 1970?
I think there is. I think today, for me, if your spirituality doesn't involve politics, then it's sort of limited. And I'd loved, and I'm thinking about setting up an actual political party that would be a heart-led political party, an intuition and heart-led political party that still has something to say about education and health and all these things. Because I believe that spirituality has to become part of our everyday fabric for it to make the difference that it can and hopefully will do. The challenge you've got in Europe is it's a fiercely atheist culture, Europe. It's hard for an American. I lived in America, and I will return to America, and I'm married to an American. And it's hard for an American to realize just how anti-religious and therefore often anti-spirituality people are. Not because they necessarily want to be, just because that's the dominant culture. And as you said, when you have a bombing or something, it's a great opportunity to question, what's going on? What are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing in terms? Not saying it's our fault. It's not we didn't do this, but there must be something about what we're doing which is creating the conditions for this to happen.
Let's
spiritual question.
Yeah, let me jump in right there. We're going to finish that thought after the break because it's a big one. Tonight, Nick, Seneca, Jankel, live from the UK. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back right after this short break. More with Nick.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth, and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you and Hillary for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Tonight we have a very special guest live from London, England. Nick Jankel is with us. It's time to switch on. And tomorrow night, Steve and Don Hess and Ron Felber will be here to discuss the Mojave incident. Nick, you're going to be on a plane in a couple of hours, winging it over here to Los Angeles. To the fun and the sun and Beverly Hills. You're going to be right here in the thick of it. Are you ready?
I'm always ready for LA. LA, I feel, is my the place I feel most myself and most connected to as a city. So yeah, I always feel like I'm living like I'm in LA. I just happen to be in other countries when I'm doing it.
Well, there's one thing, I think that trend kind of started here, or at least in California in general, certainly LA, which is the work at home person, or they get one day off a week to work from home. And then you have that challenge of getting up in the morning and even working, not sleeping in. You're supposed to how do you motivate somebody that is working from home to actually get up in the morning, make some coffee, and change the way that your mindset is? You still have to get up and work.
Well, I kind of focus my work on helping people develop internal motivation in terms of something that feels right for them to do. That's the strongest form of motivation is intrinsic to oneself.
That's right.
So for me, there's nothing more motivating than having a burning purpose in life, a burning mission, and be clear what that is. And then getting up in the morning doesn't ever really turn into anything challenging. I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. I've had to self-motivate myself every day.
Right.
And it's only when I got my purpose, my bliss, that became effortless.
And so that's the advice that you would give to somebody. So if they are not motivated, reminds me of that movie Office Space, right? Where you just stop coming to work and, I'm just not coming in today, right? Is that because there's no bliss? Oh, I think we lost Nick. Nick, are you there? We lost Nick officially. Okay, just hang tight, everybody. Just hang tight. I'm not trying to. Nick, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. The question was, it reminded me a little bit of the movie Office Space. If you remember, he just didn't want to get up and go to work in the morning. Today I'm just not coming in. And is that because of a lack of bliss and motivation, and you just don't have in your life what you need to move forward?
Well, I think as with all things in life, you've got to distinguish between what's a kind of deep-seated, this is boring me to tears, I can't be bothered with anything I do, I have no meaning in my work, that kind of big stuff. And the only answer to that is you've got to go deep dive and find what your purpose, your bliss is. Or if it's just, I'm exhausted, I am knackered, and I need a day off. So, I have to be very kind to myself as an entrepreneur. I could work all day, every day for the rest of my life and not achieve a single, micron of what I'd like to achieve. And sometimes I just want to watch TV, sit in bed with a duvet, and have a cup of tea. And I have to acknowledge that that's an absolutely important part of life, is to rejuvenate. You can't be full tilt living and working without lots of rejuvenation. And there's quite a lot of research about sports teams and athletes who really focus on rejuvenation are often the ones who are most successful.
That's it. That's interesting. And that's real interesting, actually. You've got me. I'm just sitting here thinking about that kind of answer, because what is the difference between somebody that is really, really successful and somebody that isn't? It's not, it's a pile of luck. You've got to, put that in there too as well. But it is certainly not being lazy.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to be lazy.
Okay.
But you don't want to also judge yourself as a lazy person and start creating a lot of pain around work for yourself. I mean, that's just never going to work.
Right.
A bit of self-motivation and a bit of inspiration and vision. But no, I don't really know anyone who's lazy. People who think they're lazy usually have just not found something that sparks their passion. And that's where to look.
You said right before the break that there was a lack of, and it was shocking, that there's a lack of religion, almost atheist situation that is in Europe. What did you mean by that?
Well, Europe is the sort of stronghold of the Enlightenment belief in sort of destroying the power of the priests. Voltaire and Rousseau and all these philosophers. So France, and England became the centers of a kind of anti-religious feeling, particularly when it comes to the politics, the division of church and state. And so that's kind of just in the water here. People don't find it very comfortable talking about spiritual things in polite company. Obviously, there are religious people who have great conversations about their faith, but if you're outside of a specific faith and you have a more generalized spirituality like mine is, a secular spirituality,
right?
You can't just walk into a room and, well, you can, I do, but it's extremely challenging to walk into a room and start sharing your thoughts and feelings without being laughed at.
I would think when you think about France and Italy and Germany and the Catholic Church and the strength of what is going on and the great churches that are built all over Europe, it would almost be the opposite. I think you're surprising a lot of us here right now.
Well, I think there's definitely, obviously, enormous amounts of religion all over Europe. But a lot of it I find, and this is my own personal experience, I find it quite sort of dogmatic, encrusted religion, very much based upon the past, rather than a vibrant spirituality that may be in the form of religion. So a lot of people will go to church because their parents go to church and their grandparents go to church, but they're not actually in church connecting with the divine. And even if they do, they can't bring that insight and intuition into a business meeting or into a political conversation very easily. Obviously, people do, but there's just a kind of general sort of anti-religiousness, anti-spirituality sort of feeling. But then also a lot of people desperate and hungry and yearning for that connectivity.
Are you referring to the last 2 or 3 generations then, the millennials and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, I think baby boomers, millennials, Gen X, it's just the way it is. I mean, certainly in Britain and France, the places that I know better. I'll give you an example. When I was working in LA, I met a guy who actually became an advisor to President Obama recently, and he had a perfectly open conversation about his religiousness, his Jewishness, his going to synagogue, temple. You meet someone like that in the UK, they are very unlikely to share if they go to any form of worship or prayer, and certainly not with someone on their first date.
Really? So you wouldn't? I don't know if I would ask somebody about their beliefs here in the States either. I don't know, but I think you may be right there. I think anybody that is open about it would. I mean, is spiritual, doesn't have an issue talking about it. That's right. A very interesting. That's an interesting view. And so you're saying that it is taboo. You would not bring that up at all over in Europe or the UK? That is just something that they would probably not discuss at all?
I mean, I do now. Part of my journey as a wisdom teacher and leadership teacher is becoming more and more comfortable sharing my consciousness fully and openly with people. But I do that in a very aware way, and I'm super aware about the language I use. Because you say one woo-woo thing and you've lost the room. If I walk into a corporate and I start talking about, sort of typical new age stuff, I'm going to lose most of the room before I've even started.
Wow, that's interesting. And this isn't a religious show. This is just a show with, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation. That's all this is. But when it swings into this and I'm learning something for the first time, I know the audience is right there with me. They're like, holy crap, really? That's how it is. That's a very, very interesting take. Now, what? We'll swing off religion for a little bit. Let's make a left-hand turn here. When you are at a company like Google or one of these high-tech companies, I should say, do they share secrets? And what I mean by that is are you privy to the development and the future? Do they let you know? Because they know that you are a technologist and that you do discuss this and you are into computers and human intelligence and how they can combine and the future, right? These are things that you write about and you talk about and you speak about. So do they let you in on that? Because does that help you turn around and address what the company is about?
Yes and no. I mean, when I'm working more on a project, so I work with people. I also work on actual innovation projects. And when I'm working on a project, then they definitely are very open. And there's a kind of understanding that part of the ethics of being a consultant is I don't talk about specifics of their work with anyone else and vice versa. But at the same time, part of what they're employing me for is that I do work with lots of different companies. So I won't specifically share any IP or patents or anything that they're working on, but I will share the general intelligence I'm picking up on where the future is heading. And that's what people are paying me in part to help them understand. So it's kind of like it's a sort of unspoken agreement. Now, some companies are totally a bit freaky with it, and they start sending me, NDA things to sign and all this stuff.
Sure.
And I'm just like, whatever, okay, if you need me to. But, it's just professional not to share specific things whilst being, there are generalizations about the future that you can start to see from different organizations.
Well, I'm going to get those secrets out of you, so...
Help!
Don't you worry, young man. That's exactly where I'm going. Thank you for the disclosure up front, but I'm going to get it out of you. Where do you see things going in the next? Let's go with the next year first. We're going to start there because. The smart watch, right? The Apple Watch and that technology and Samsung and so forth. That is not what we envisioned. A real smart watch is the Dick Tracy watch, right? You've got a screen, you're looking at somebody's face, and you've got your phone, and everything's there. A smart watch isn't a pedometer, something that's measuring your heart rate. No, that's not a big deal. It's not a breakthrough product. But where do you see technology in the next year? Are we actually going to start to cross some lines into actual practical technology?
Well, I come from this usually from more of an anthropologist background in terms of what do human beings do, like, feel, want. And one of the things that technology companies often fail to realize is that there are some usually quite strong cultural codes that a technology has to either fit with or it won't work. And one of the biggest ones is technology that touches my skin and what it means to have silicon or lithium batteries touching my skin.
Right.
And it's a big cultural code, and it's not going to change quickly. So one of the reasons I think the Apple Watch and other things like it haven't sort of gone massive is because there are people like, well, if I really want that touching my body, does it really add enough to my life to touch it? Which is interesting in terms of the sort of transhumanist people who think it's going to all merge into one sort of being. And that may well happen. But I think it's going to be a lot longer and a lot bumpier road than a lot of Silicon Valley types would like to think.
Why do you think it is, when I go to different stores, and I walk through and you see all of the, the bracelets and the different types of health meters and watches that are out there, rings even too as well, where they actually think that people are going to use this stuff. I think people buy it for a gift and they give it to somebody, right? It goes into a drawer. Yeah. If somebody buys it for themselves, they'll do it for a day, hook it up to their computer, get the communication going, right? Get the link going, and maybe check it out. And then, you know what? One day they don't put it on, a week later, and then they never put it on again. I don't see people wearing these. Once in a while, you will. But it's certainly not everybody. It's not half. It's not a quarter. It's a very small percentage. They may be selling them, but they're not being used. Why do you think that is?
Again, it's cultural stuff that technologists don't often take into account, that Though we like technology as a species, we don't want it to totally change how we are and how we feel and how we work. And there's a famous theory in technology marketing called the chasm, which is that a lot of geeks will go buy into your crazy ring. Actually, I know the guy who does the ring, funny enough. But a lot of geeks might buy a ring, or you buy it as a gift. But to actually get it to be part of someone's everyday life, like the smartphone has become, can take 15, 20 years, much longer than people realize or want to even deal with. It doesn't look sexy on a business plan, what you're pitching to a VC, saying, hey, we've got this new technology, and it'll take us 25 years to make it mainstream. But that's how long it took. If you think about the PDA, the Apple Newton, Palm Pilot, all these early versions of a smartphone, it took a long time for us to want to put a phone in our pocket and take it around the world with us. And for that, it's got to really find a groove in our life. And a lot of these so-called wearable products, they're fun, they do a couple of fun things, but they're just not fundamental. Fun, but not fundamental.
Yeah, we would have never thought that. Well, you know what? A smartphone turned into being fundamental. But I'm not sure that we thought that we would be where we are today. Now it is truly something that you can't dispose of. You have to have it with you. You know, it is a computer. It is nothing more than a laptop computer. It's very, very powerful. And now, we use it for everything, right? Telephone, navigation, computer, internet, video, camera. It is an all-in-one Swiss Army knife. And that's where we are. What can possibly be next? Are we out of ideas? I mean, what would, and I'm being serious about such a bold statement, what could possibly be next that would be like a smartphone? Even tablets are a stopgap, right? It's still a computer, and a tablet really is just a large cell phone. My cell phone is a small tablet, to be honest with you. It's exactly that. Are we out of ideas? With the Apple Watch and the other technology that they're trying to push in that direction, it didn't take off, and I don't know if it will. Are we out of ideas to the point where we have to have smart TVs and smart refrigerators and a smart mirror and a smart electric toothbrush? Is that where we are going? Are we out? Are we fresh out of ideas?
We're definitely not out of ideas. There's so much stuff being created all the time. We may be out of needs, if that makes sense. Like the actual needs that you and I have for technology, that technology can answer, a lot of them have kind of been answered already. And now most of our needs, I think, are sort of more human, emotional, social, community needs. And technology is just not very good at answering those needs. Like we actually have to engage with people, have conversations, those kind of things. Technology can help that. It can facilitate that. That's hopefully something that I'm very interested in, is how do you take these apps and social media and stuff, but how do you use them to actually make a difference to our fundamental emotional and social needs? That for me is an interesting area. What happens when you take an app plus a smartphone and then some really insightful understandings of human nature? What do you get out the end? And that's what I'm working. That's some of the stuff that I work on. But yeah, I think we how many more types of TV can we have? How many more types of screen can we be bothered to shell out $100 or $1,000 on for a new one?
Yeah, I didn't think that we ever would, and yet we hit the cycle, don't we? We really do.
Right.
And I don't know where if you think about all of the cathode ray traditional TV sets, where did they all go? Where did they go?
There's a graveyard of lost tech.
About 10 years ago, it would have been about 2005, 2006, as we started to, here at our house, started to make that change. I remember, and I'm not making this up, we literally had 6 TV sets, right? 3 of them that were really big, and we didn't know what to do with them. And we took them to a pawn shop and sold them for like $20 each. And I'm not making that up. And I remember parting ways with my, I forget what it was, but 36-inch Mitsubishi, right, that I paid $1,200 for 2 years before, and and they were like, dude, what do you want us to do with these? And I didn't want to throw them away, and I sold it for like, I can't even remember. It was $20, $40 for this TV set, but they had to go somewhere. But I'm one of probably 200 million households in the United States that was doing the exact same thing. And here we are now making the transition with our flat screens at the house, and we're getting ready to go curved screens, right? 4K. And I'm like, wait a minute. These things were expensive, but we're going to make the transition once again. And I thought that I was going to sit on my 1080p 70-inch for a while. But we're already looking, and it's something that we can't avoid as a race, that we always want the next piece of technology. Is that where we are now? Are we going to phase through this and jump to 4K TV sets and then smart televisions and make that leap?
Well, we've also got to be aware that the technology industry feeds the addiction to newness that we can easily get. And so we end up buying things that we don't actually necessarily need, but they feel exciting and new. And I've been eyeing those curved screens myself.
I know, right? Why is that? I mean, if you've got a 70-inch 1080p at the house, a 60-inch, a 51-inch, you have to ask yourself, do you really need to go here? But we do. It's an amazing thing that we find ourselves in, because I can tell you, The Godfather is going to look the same on a 70-inch 1080p than it is on some curved screen in 5 years. I don't know what the difference could possibly be.
Right, exactly. And that's why I question myself. I am attempting to diffuse my own tech addiction and be happy to engage with older stuff. Such interesting. I used to do a lot of anthropology studies inside people's homes around technology. And it's what you meant talking about your old TV screens. People don't want to throw it away. They know it has a value. So you open people's drawers and they might have 15 old phones in there, which is no one's going to use. But there's a perceived value in this silicon, in this digital tech. But I definitely encourage people to sell it, get rid of it, give it away, because you're just never going to use it. Those beige computer screens that you've got somewhere, you're just never going to use them. Not going to happen.
Sitting here in the bunker right now, as you say that, I'm sitting here. I've got 3 24-inch monitors on a monitor bar in front of me, right? Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Sitting against the wall to my left are 3 other monitors. Perfectly fine, flat screen, 20-inch, but I had to get 24. And here I am. It's a fascinating thing. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the implications of, and I know that you talk about this and thought about this, the religious aspects of wearable technologies and everything that is talked about when it comes to, the mark of the beast and religion and having chips in your hand or maybe behind your ear just so you can make a phone call or pay for your groceries. Let's talk about all of that right after the break. Our guest tonight is Nick Jankel, live from the UK. In a couple hours, he's going to be right here with me in Los Angeles. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us. All right, fantastic stuff. And I want to jump into
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Why do people order life change tea? Because Life Change Tea helps the digestive system. Life Change Tea helps the colon unclog. The tea also helps with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and many, many other health issues. Life Change Tea also tastes great. And Life Change Tea is not just green tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs that go to town, cleaning your body of harmful toxins, bacteria, and parasites. Our tea is number 1. Are you ready for your life change? Let the tea help you. Log on to our online store of helpful products to get your body on track. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Not all tea is equal. Read our website of all the factual testimonies that prove that Life Change Tea is working. Health is important, and our quality of life is very important. Don't wait to order. Expect a life change with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood. Not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Right now we have Nick Jankel, live from the UK. And, Nick, I got to tell you, one of the things that I don't get to do too often on the show is talk technology. But I do talk about the conspiracy behind it. One of the things that I'd like to address right now, earlier this week, the head of one of our security agencies was in front of the Senate or Congress and was saying how the NSA now not only has the ability, but they monitor all of the devices in our homes that are connected to the net, right? And they can use it to obviously chase down criminals and find out where they are, but they can do it with anybody. And it is your smart TV. It is your smart refrigerator, your baby monitor, anything that is connected to the net, including Google's thermostat home system. I forget what they call it. But they can monitor everything now. What kind of danger are we actually in? And should we almost be backwards? In other words, buy a conventional refrigerator. Don't buy a smart TV that's got a camera on it and so forth. Are we in that kind of 1984 Orwellian time that we were warned about?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a gray area. And it is quite scary that this is possible. It's the kind of quid pro quo of the internet. You are, as soon as you plug into it, you could get the access to all the data it can give you, which is really useful and brilliant to find your way to a movie house, theater of an evening. But your data can also go into the internet, and we start to enter a world where who owns our data, and then we have to start thinking, is data really that valuable? I don't know. I really just don't know whether my personal data about what temperature my living room is really that important to anyone else. Is it going to really ever come up and bite me on the butt? I don't know. But I think everyone has to be very aware that you plug into the internet and you are in. You are in the system.
Are you comfortable with the smart TV with the camera in your living room?
Well, I am, until I see movies where someone hacks into it and turns it on and starts to freak people out. So.
Right. Well, and you wouldn't, if somebody was doing that, you would never know. I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah. In the movies, there's always a light. The light goes on, and they're sort of looking at someone, and that's like, I mean, definitely, it's definitely something to be aware of. I don't know if my life is interesting enough to anyone to want to be involved in hacking into it. I hope not. But yeah, I mean, it is something to be super conscious of. And I think it's pretty weird stuff can and will happen in that kind of hacking into life hacking, but not in the kind of positive sense.
Did you read, I forget the company, it's a UK-based company that is working with the BBC for facial recognition. Did you read about that story last week?
No, I'm aware of some of the challenges and opportunities in facial recognition.
Yeah, the BBC wants to know if you like a movie or not, right? Right? I'm being serious. They want to know if you're happy, sad, have different looks. I think they have 6 or 9 different facial patterns that let them know if you're confused, if you don't understand the movie, if you're happy, if you're pissed off, and so forth with the movie. And it was one of the creepiest stories I have ever read. And the BBC said, you know what? The program was so great that the software ran so good in the program that we had done with everybody. I think they did 2,000 homes or something. That it was so good and so successful, we're going to continue this. And so if you do have a smart TV and you're in London and you're watching the BBC, potentially you could be part of a market research group and not even know about it. Now, that is pretty scary.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously with this stuff comes rules that you've got to have, data protection and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm much less worried about the BBC. I like to think they're a nice old auntie, as they're thought of here. They're actually called auntie. The BBC is called auntie as a kind of, big corporation, but kind of benevolent. My bigger concern is neuromarketing, is advertising. And I used to work in the ad industry, so I know just how much money is involved in understanding whether what we're showing you is creating an emotional response that's going to connect to sales. And that is scary stuff. I mean, that's not even conspiracy land. Right. That's just the relentless use of technology to sell us stuff that we may not really need. And that's scary stuff.
In like 1984, 32 years ago, somebody gave me a book and loaned it to me. And they were like, okay, Jimmy, man, this is the future, man. This is the devil, some Christian book. And so I read, and about half of the book was about chips and implants and the mark of the beast, right? You're going to have a chip implanted into your hand that is going to be your credit card, your money, your bank, your identity, and your location, and it's all going to be there. And when that happens, it's Armageddon, the end of the world, and so forth. But there was other parts to the book. One of them was bank cards. That before you get the chip, that you're going to have a bank card, and this is before ATM, and that everything that you do when you go, you're not going to carry cash anymore. And I just remember thinking to myself, that is so far into the future, it could never happen. And here we are today. We are, that's exactly where we are today. Going into the possibility of having a cell phone implanted behind your ear, or maybe a sticker, right, that you would peel off, and that's the cell phone, and you pop that on your skin somewhere. Is that frightening, and does that answer some of the, prophetizing, the prophets that were saying that this was going to happen? Does that concern you, and do you think that is where we are today, and is it correct? I want to say something a little bit more direct, but I won't do it.
I think that the implanted chips thing is definitely going to happen. It's happening already, particularly people who've got disabilities. But for them, it's like the best thing ever. To have a cochlear implant, like, wow, you're making me hear again. So I think if it's, in the medical field, it's one thing. I think if it's about power and control, and I think it'll be a smaller group of people at the beginning. And those cultural taboos we talked about in terms of human beings not wanting technology on their body. I think for my generation and maybe the millennials, that's still a big factor that will stop that from spreading. But my little 3-year-old son, who, can use an iPad and various other tech really quite well, maybe he will see having a extended mind with a chip as being just a natural progression of life and embrace it. I certainly won't engage with it unless it has a medical benefit.
And what about paper money? What about change? If that goes away, right, and there is no more paper money, and that's a possibility. I mean, I very rarely carry cash, right? If paper money goes away and your money is either on a card or on a chip on a card, your entire life is there, and they decide to cut you off, you're done.
Right.
Right? That's it. And if there's no paper, you don't have any recourse. You could starve to death, right?
Well, maybe in the US. We have a bit more of a social welfare system here in Europe, which will kick in. And actually, you know what? It's interesting talking about US and Europe differences. We have a lot. The European Union has a lot of laws around data protection, and there's a lot of legal regulation that sort of is against companies in Europe. Which you don't get in the US so much. So it's interesting. I think people have less of a fear of it here, less conspiracy fears, because I think there actually are less conspiracies in Europe. I don't know. I gave up on cash a long time ago. I'd happily not have any with me ever. I kind of have enough trust in the system that it's not going to, basically screw with me. But speak to me in 5 years, and I've been switched off, and I'm on the street. Then maybe I will be more concerned about it.
Yeah, this is the here. I'll give you. Then we'll move on. But I'll give you the Pandora's box. Right? You have no cash at home. Nothing stuffed in your mattress. Right? You don't carry cash. Life is good. Everything's fine, and you live that way for years. Everything is good, and you're acclimated. And then one day, China calls in their chips, right, to Buckingham Palace. And they say, okay, the $2 trillion that you owe us, we want right now, or we start bombing tomorrow. I'm just saying, right? Just some crazy doomsday scenario. And then all of a sudden, the House of Parliament, they go, you know what? The only way we can do this is we take everybody's money. Boom, electronically done. All bank accounts are emptied, and there's no cash on the streets. You go to use your card, and they say something like, well, the British banking system is in a technical shutdown right now. It's not working. We'll be up and running in 2 weeks. What do you do? That's my point. That's the crazy, because we don't have an off switch for that. Right. And if we fall into this technological thing that we're all comfortable with now, but in the future, if it electronically gets shut off for whatever reason, what do we do? What do we do? What would you do? What would
plant some vegetables?
Yep, there you go. I knew you were going there. The dramatic pause, because there's nothing you can do. That is, we embrace technology. We love it. There's nothing better than an ATM card. Really, there's not. It's a convenience and it's great. But cash and that alternative still has its place, because if that gets taken away, for whatever reason, it doesn't. Wasn't it Iceland or Greenland? One of those countries said, we're doing away with cash. We're going to an all cashless society, and that kind of scares me. I'm just saying there's something to, the old guy, the old lady that died with $300,000 stuffed in their mattress. There's a reason for that.
But maybe no one ever found it.
Yeah. Well, it happened with my grandparents. But
I used to live in Zimbabwe, and it was kind of a similar thing, but the non-technical version. You had 10 Zim dollars one week, and it was worth 1 Zim dollar the next week. And so cash is already unstable. We think it's stable, but actually it can change just because people decide it's not worth anything anymore. So, there is I'm not worried about the cash revolution, but I'm much more worried about the taking my data and doing strange things with it,
right?
And invading my life.
The singularity and transhumanism, that is something that we need to be very aware of as a society today before we get there, because we are close. We could be. Ray Kurzweil says 2018. So, that's a few dozen months away. I mean, it's like right here and right now. How close do you think we are to true transhumanism and the singularity?
Well, I have a slightly different belief from probably most technologists. I think absolutely we are going to enmesh further with technology. And we will definitely be developing artificial intelligence, to who knows where we can go with it. But my belief is both sort of neurologically and philosophically that technology can replicate some of the functions of the human brain, but it can't replicate all of them. And there's something ineffably biological and wet and human about how we think and feel that technology will not be able to replicate, or not for a very, very long time. So again, I think the singularity will come and go. I'm not sure it's going to make such a huge difference to our lives, actually.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
That's pretty bold. Well, Big Blue beat Gary Kasparov, right? Back in 96 or 98, 96, whenever that went down. And some said that would never happen. But it did. And I think he was embarrassed. He ended up beating Big Blue in the series. It was best out of 7 or something.
Revenge is sweet.
Right. But he lost the first game, and which was a long match. And he got his butt handed to him. And so when you talk about the certain things about what a computer won't eventually do, or at least for a long time, are you referring to humor, laughter, sadness? Because logic and intelligence, I think they may have us right now. I think...
Right. So I think, from what I understand of so my geek subject is creativity and in the brain and in the body and where it comes from. And creativity, it seems to be a fundamentally emotional thing. It's driven by emotion, passion, that motivation we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to work in the same sort of deductive, logical reasoning. It's a different system. And so I think that it's one thing to be able to beat someone at chess, where it's really about evaluating, a billion different moves, and a computer naturally can do that faster than a human being. I think when it comes to things like creativity and compassion and conversation and that kind of stuff, I don't think we understand anything like how it's working in our biology, let alone how to replicate that in a computer system, if it's even possible, because my hunch and belief is it's a fundamentally quantum effect. The creativity is a quantum effect of newness coming into the system, and we're so far away from even having scratching the surface of what that is, let alone replicating it in a machine.
Are you
procedural intelligence? I think computers will definitely kick our butts, but sort of maybe like a creative intelligence, I don't think they will for a very long time, if ever.
Are you speaking because you are privy to some inside knowledge and you have been told that this is, or are you speaking from your gut right now, from your emotions?
Well, I keep up with the neurobiology of creativity, and we know so little about it. And I also keep up with the work being done in consciousness studies around the biology of consciousness. And you can get a computer to replicate certain logical steps, like playing chess, but it's not conscious. The computer is not conscious. It is just, it's rules-based. So ultimately it comes down to rules-based. And what I think the AI can do really well is take some rules and run them to massive calculations and then make some decisions based upon that. What it can't do is sense in the moment, shall I go and talk to my kid because my kid's upset?
Or a painting like Mona Lisa.
Right, painting Mona Lisa, or having the idea, hey, let's make computers funky colors because then people will buy them and put them in their living rooms. Like what I call a breakthrough, something you couldn't predict from the past. Computers can't do that. I don't believe. That's my philosophical and scientific understanding of that process.
Okay, and I can understand that, but if we are dealing on a logic level, and computers suddenly figure out that when they start building themselves, which they're doing now anyway, right? Robot-driven assembly lines, and computers figure out that they could build themselves, and they are just a little bit in front of us, then suddenly they could take over and build computers to eliminate us, or robots to eliminate us, where it doesn't take creativity. It just takes the understanding that they no longer need us and they could build themselves. What about that problem?
Well, I think, so I'll split it out. I think the computer can definitely build a better computer than we can eventually, right, and faster, and make it just better and better and better. But that is a world away from having any interest, any intentionality around getting rid of us. Because I don't believe computers have that consciousness. So there's no motivation. Motivation is fundamentally an emotional thing. That's one of the things we've learned in neurobiology in the last 15 years, 20 years, is we're emotional beings. We think with emotion. And unless you can replicate that in a computer, which people aren't that interested in, then the computer's just still using rules. It's still working with the rules that we gave it. So if you're the mad, crazy professor who wants to destroy the world, then yes, you could create a computer and design it to create more computers that could destroy us. But the intentionality in that computer comes from a human being, not the computer itself. The computer just follows the rules. So I think that's for me. I don't think the computers will ever do the Terminator type stuff unless a mad genius behind it is the source of intentionality for the computer.
Right now, DARPA's and Sandia Labs, their number one focus in both situations, and you can see this in their budget proposals. This is not some top secret thing I'm disclosing. Their number one focus right now is exactly what you are talking about. They're dealing with AR, AI, and consciousness connection to hard drives. And they are trying to work out the interface that would convert our brain and its communication directly to a computer. Once they figure that language out, it's all over, right? I think we just, agreed to that. But that's what they are focusing on now. And once they complete that hurdle, now we're dealing with consciousness on a hard drive making decisions. And that's when I think we cross the line. And that's the focus that they are working on right now.
I think it's what's it called? A whale? Maybe it's a Moby Dick type analogy, which I have to confess I've never actually read the whole way through.
Right.
But I don't think a computer can be conscious. I just don't think it ever will happen. Unless we have a whole nother understanding of what consciousness is and we can replicate that. I think we'll be able to use our consciousness to change a computer's settings, rules, actions, but not have consciousness in the computer itself.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Exactly right. We have to stay one step ahead of this because
exactly. Got to sharpen our tools.
Yeah, we have to. We have to have an off switch somewhere. The big red button, right? Boom, to shut everything down.
Exactly.
It's an interesting concept, and it's obviously the next step. The next step for all of us would be that immortality syndrome, to be able to live forever. And if you are Bill Gates, right? And if you are if you are one of those guys that has those kind of pocketbooks, right now you know that we're on the brink of this. Aren't you trying to get yourself onto a USB drive, right?
Plug and play Bill Gates.
Yeah, you don't think Zuckerberg's working on that right now?
There's the perennial desire, it's the source of thousands of books and movies, to beat death, to find the elixir of eternal life. But I, as a wisdom teacher, philosopher, believe that's a metaphor for finding a sort of transcendent meaning for our life. And I think anyone who actually cracked the code of keeping us alive for 10,000 years would find it was way more of a curse than a gift.
Well, I'll give you a cool application for it, and I'm sure you thought about this, but we're searching the stars, right? We're looking for life. But what we can't overcome is waste, food, water, air, oxygen, and to be able to live, past 100 years, whatever, sleep, and then take there's problems with that logistically. Certainly the answer would be putting, Nick Jankel on a hard drive, right? And you could go for 1 million years in one direction on a space probe and live in a virtual reality. And you could run the ship. And then when you get there, clone yourself, right? Grow it. I'm not kidding. And if you think about this, that answers all of those logistical roadblocks that we have to go to another solar system, another universe altogether. You could do that if you remove the need to eat and to sleep and to live, right? And that would be a tremendous application for it. And certainly if ET is 1,000 or 1 million years more advanced than us, wouldn't that be how they are getting here? It would make sense. It's like, it's a no-brainer. If somebody came to you and said, Nick, okay, we have the ability, would you go? Would you jump onto a hard drive and head to Zeta Reticuli?
I was just thinking, as you were saying, I think I'd rather clone myself and build my business.
Exactly. But see,
to clone themselves.
Exactly.
I don't think I would go, or I certainly would want to live my full life in this reality here with my kids and see them grow up and all the things that bring me most joy. Maybe when, I'm in the home and it's a choice between watching a rerun of Golden Girls and jumping on board the USB stick, then I might take the USB stick.
Okay, let's go to a break. Let's do this right now because I've got a great question after the break. We're going to follow that up. Our guest tonight, Nick Jankel, live from the UK. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Interesting conversation tonight with Nick, and we'll have more right after the break. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Another winter, another cold and flu season. This year, try Sweet Annie's Herbs FACS formula. FACS means flu, allergy, cold, and sinus relief. Vitamin C, echinacea, golden seal, and propolis. Nature's antibiotic and antiviral remedy. Karen from Springfield says, amazing product, a miracle worker for me. Go to sweetannie.com and order FACS today. Use promo code TALK for free shipping. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. TalkStream Live, now available in the iTunes App Store.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, jimmychurchradio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Fascinating conversation tonight with Nick Jankel. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planets. You know, Nick, I was just saying before the break, I've got one question for you. I think you are the exception to the rule. You have morals, you're grounded, your feet are on the ground, family, friends, country. I get all of that. But do you think you're the exception to the rule?
I don't know on this. I don't know. I think, the idea of going into a world we have no concept of is terrifying to some people. I mean, it terrifies me. As you were talking about this million light year away place, I was like, oh my God, what the terror was going to be like. And I'm an avid science fiction fan, so I'm kind of into those kind of worlds. I don't know. I think when the push comes to shove, a lot of people wouldn't want that, and wouldn't want their life to be extended either beyond 90, 100, 120. That's my sense.
I don't
know.
I have a close friend that I really can't say much yet, but I will over the next couple of weeks. And he's got a virtual reality company, one of the leading. And this is somebody that I've known for 20 years. He started the company a few years ago. And he begged me to get down to their offices here in Los Angeles to go and check out that. I just truly wouldn't believe what they were working on. I've seen some demonstrations. And I got to tell you, if you saw what he has, right, and you looked at it, you would think that this was a 360-degree multi-camera setup, and they filmed everything in, that it's real, right? You would think that there's no question about it. It just looks like really, really nice high-def imagery, but none of it is real. And I'm talking about walking through buildings with the outside there and looking through windows, but none of it is real. And I'm not, when I say this, the movie The Matrix doesn't have anything on what these guys are working on now. And if we took the step of getting you or me downloaded onto a drive and walked through this for real, you would not know. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Your children, if they were born into this, they wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? And if it's an incredible, breathtaking, exciting thing. On the flip side, it is totally frightening because, like, I'm sitting in this studio, right, and I'm talking to you. You're over in the UK. After seeing their demonstration, right, I don't even know if what I'm doing right now is real. It's like that. It is a frightening concept, and
wow.
and we're right there. When you get here to the States, we're one-on-one. I'll disclose some of this to you, and I'll let you check it out, and I'll certainly put you in contact with them. It's a tremendous technology, one that is completely frightening. I want to change gears a little bit. You talk a lot about economy and technology and what's going on with the world right now, and with certainly with the price of oil and the world economies not knowing which direction they're going in. What do you think is going to happen over the next year? Are we going to see some tremendous changes in the markets, not only with technology, but with oil? Here in the United States, for instance, oil is cheap. Gas is cheap. I don't even know if we need to import any more oil. We're in that kind of position. And the economy here right now, it seems like it's booming. I don't think anybody's upset over here, but yet the doom and gloom economists are saying, get ready because this is going to be the harshest time ever. What do you think is going to happen over the next 12 months?
Well, as someone who's kind of interested in a quite radical reassessment of our values and society, I was actually hoping the last crash was going to be a time of amazing change and renewal. Right. And I think we didn't really do any deep reflection, and we just carried on and got kind of back to the same place again. So there's a part of me that, although deeply inconvenient, would actually like there to be more economic challenges that force us to really think about the direction our society is going in and give us the space to create the new. And, my work's about realizing that we need chaos before we can have a better design. We need to melt away the old design into chaos before we can have a better design. So yeah, I actually hope there is more turmoil. Whilst for me personally, that would be challenging, and for all of us it would be challenging. I just think we're kind of stuck in a Groundhog Day of socio-economic, political, financial habits, and I just don't think they're working for most people in the world, and yet we sort of just keep clinging on to them. So yeah, I hope we get some more changes, but in a way that is not traumatic to us as individuals, and knowing the path of change involves letting go of old things. That's my hope.
Well, such as what kind of old things? Because I would think that the chaos that was created in 2008 was a buttload, and we should have had a lot of change, and we should have learned from that. And here we are 8 years later, just 8 short years later, and with everything that we have learned about oil and the petrodollar and the world economies and how things are connected, that we would know what we were dealing with right now. As a society, we're okay. Cheap gas. I had read the other day, and this is no joke, Nick, check this out, that with the drop in the price of gas that we've had here in the last year, that it is going to pump $60 billion back into the economy. Okay? I mean, that's people that are not spending it on gas, but they spend it somewhere. They spend it at the movie theaters. They buy more food. They buy more clothes. Whatever. The money still goes back into the system somewhere. $60 billion back into the United States economy. That's pretty tremendous. But yet the stock market is doing what it's doing, and we're about to meet some serious chaos, aren't we?
I think we are. I mean, we might just go back to where we were in this kind of almost static, kind of not really growing, kind of slightly painful, but not too painful economy that we've been having the last few years. But, pain is a great stimulus to change. And in that 2008 crisis, people were really questioning capitalism and inequality and political representation and all these things. But I don't think we got to the end of that conversation. It's a bit like, someone with a midlife crisis starts questioning what they're doing, but just at the point where they're about to have a breakthrough and change their job and go and work for a Peace Corps or something, they get offered a raise and they go, okay, fine, and take the raise. It's kind of what I think we did as a nation. So I do think there's going to be a lot of turbulence. I think we're entering a world where turbulence is the new normal and stability is a thing of the past. And part of my work is to equip us with the tools we need and the mindsets we need to deal with that turbulence and the fear it can trigger in us, the fear of change.
That's exactly where I was going next. With mass media and the fear of change and fear porn that is out there 24 hours a day now, what do we do as a society, not only individuals, but as a society, to affect this change and overcome what's about to happen?
Well, everything I've learned over my work as a practitioner and as a philosopher comes down to the same thing, which is we need to ground our existence in something bigger than ourselves.
Such as?
I'm someone who believes in interconnection and interbeing and community. For me, that's the ultimate reality, is our interconnectedness and our sense of brotherhood and sisterhood that we have, or our sense of connection to nature, whatever anchors us most. The deep human values. Those are the things that I think give us the anchor in times of trouble. And another way of putting that is purpose. When you know what your purpose is, then all the vagaries of life and all the headwinds that we're about to get into become less terrifying, basically, because we know what we're here to do and we know where we can make a difference. And that is the most precious gift, because then nothing is quite as intense again. That's certainly what I teach and believe. And so that's, for me, the number one step. Change is the new normal. It's going to get, I reckon, a good deal more challenging than it is before it gets any easier. And that could be like 20, 30 years of constant threat, economic, climate change, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got to all find our anchor. Otherwise we get buffeted around, and that is when life happens to you rather than you happen to life.
What do you think, personally, when you walk into a food court somewhere and you're looking at 200 or 300 people, and maybe half of them kids, teenagers or whatever, and you look and you see nearly everybody staring into their smartphones and texting and surfing the net and on Instagram instead of talking to each other.
It's interesting, actually. It's kind of like one of those 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because though people are not being present in that moment to each other and the place they're in, the food court, but maybe they're having deep and meaningful chats with someone else, and maybe they're starting dating with someone or talking to their pops. I don't know. I attempt to teach my kids to switch off screens a few times a day, where we can all be together and just be in the room, human beings. And I do that myself. I think it's definitely a good thing to do, but I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm techno positive. I'm techno optimistic, because ultimately I believe that human beings course correct themselves when things become difficult enough. They sort their stuff out and find out what's important to them. And it may come in the form of a breakdown and something like that, but it does happen.
There was, I talked about this last month on the show or the month before. Somebody sent me a picture, and the picture was of the inside of a museum. In the background was this monstrous 20-foot wide by 10-foot tall painting of like Renaissance paint of like Venice, right? This beautiful piece of artwork, huge. And then in front of the painting was a long bench, about 20 feet long, with like 8 girls. I'm going to say girl. That's what it was. Doesn't matter. All of them looking at their cell phones, right? And nobody standing in front of the painting. And it was such an obvious state of society. You know, it makes you just want to go up and crack them upside their head and go, look what's here on the wall. There's time for that later. You can go and do what you're doing later. That's okay. But right now, this is art, and appreciate what's going on here. And and I doubt that what they were looking at were pictures of the painting on their cell phone, right? Taking a tour guide. You know, that's not what was going on.
Right.
And what if okay, Nick, now that I hit you with that, and what if your child was one of the children in that picture?
Oh God, I mean, it is sad. And one of the things that I teach is mindfulness. You know, be here now. When you're here, be here now. When you're in your screen, be there now. And that's again comes back to, what we teach our kids, what we teach people about what being present really means, and communicating and looking people in the eye. And at the same time, I want my kids to be able to code any app they want to code, and I want them to be able to edit sound and video and create graphics out of things so they can communicate and create their projects. So it's just a balance. It's always a balance. It's like, let's use technology. It's awesome. Create whatever you want with it, and know how to do that, because you need to. Otherwise, you can't create anything. At the same time, turn the screen off, 3 times a day, and just be here with a human being. They don't have to speak. Just be with them in the same room, and it makes a difference.
Do you allow cell phones at the dinner table?
Well, my kids aren't allowed cell phones at all, but I did just buy them a Kindle each. And no, they're not allowed it at the dinner table. Definitely not.
I hope my daughters are listening right now. See, I'm not the bad guy. I am not.
We're pretty strict on these things. They have a screen time for the day, and the rest of it is like, play with the blocks. Let's play with Lego,
Right.
Let's actually use our hands and be together and play a game, that kind of stuff.
Now, both of my daughters are 20, right, today. When they were, I'm going to guess here and say it was around 5th or 6th grade. I'm trying to think of how old you are in 6th grade. What, 10, maybe 11? It was right in that transition period, which would have been about 10 years ago, 2005, 2006. And my daughters come up and said to Rita and I, we want cell phones, right? Now, there's a couple of things that come into play at that moment. Number one, I want my daughters to be secure, right? If they need a cell phone, they need to call daddy. They got issues. I want them to have it, right? Then there's the other part that said to me, who else at the age of 10 in this school has got cell phones, right? And then I started to look around, and there's kids, right? 6th grade, 7th grade, 10 years ago, walking out of the school, picking up their cell phones out of their backpack and getting on the phone. And I thought, how young is too young for this? I don't want to be my parents. I don't want to be my dad. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the cool guy. But also, when we were kids, it's not a question of technology. My daughters, when they were very, very young, 5 years old, they had a DVD player and a color TV in their bedroom. I certainly didn't have that growing up. But it's part of technology. They had computers at a very young age. That's fine, too, as well. But crossing this line of technology with children was a dramatic step for me. How young is too young for a cell phone these days?
I mean, it's really, I think you're right. It's not about technology per se. I mean, the same question is how young is a miniskirt for a young girl these days? You know, what?
Oh, my daughters still don't. No, they still don't wear mini skirts.
Never.
Oh,
never wear them.
No.
You know, I see kids walking around in like Taylor Swift type, clothes, and they're like 7. I'm like, this is weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. The bigger question is, what does childhood mean to us now? And how do we how do we give us kids a childhood that has some core values and of the past and some of the values and benefits of the future? And that is really for every parent to, reflect, I hope, quite deep on.
Yeah, every time, my daughters come in, so what do you think of my outfit? No matter what, the shoes are too tall, the dress is too short. That's always my comment.
Exactly.
Now, we've only got a few short minutes left. I want to jump into a couple of things really quick. And the first one is breakthrough is a key word for you and what you do. Can you define what breakthrough means?
Well, I've had to, unfortunately, even though I change my definition every couple of days, I think. So for me, a breakthrough is a transformational change, either in yourself or your organization or your community, that you couldn't predict just by extrapolating the past. So if you had a line of where you've been the last year or 5 years, if you carry on the line, that's not a breakthrough. That's predictable change. If you have some kind of sea change, shift in the line, that's breakthrough. That's my easiest way of defining it. But we all know when we've had one, because we're like, oh man, I used to think like this about the world, and now I think this. That's a kind of another way of, spotting one.
And for an individual, it would be different than with a company, right? I mean, the general definition would be the same, but with an individual, can you narrow that down?
Well, actually, that's one of the things I've discovered over the last few years. When I started writing this book that you mentioned, Switch On, I started looking at my work with individuals, coaching individuals and guiding individuals, and my work with, multi-billion-dollar companies, helping them develop new products. And I realized that the process and the form and the shape of breakthrough change is exactly the same. And that was a massive breakthrough for me, because I was like, oh my God, there's something essential and I think archetypal about breakthrough for any level of the universe, whether looking at chemicals reacting or countries turning into democracies from dictatorships. They follow the same shape of change. So I actually bizarrely think they are the same thing occurring. But yes, the experience of it can be different as an individual as to a company. But what's actually going on is, I think, the same.
And you have a new course, which is Switch On, which is online. Can you tell me about that really quick?
Well, yes, my first foray into can I give people the experience of being coached by me in video form, so 10,000 people can use it and not have to pay me the exorbitant fees I charge for working one-on-one with individuals. So it's kind of like a breakthrough disruptive innovation. Can I create a coaching experience in 21 short videos that are no longer than 7 or 8 minutes, so people can use them over 21 days? And that's what I've created. So I've actually just launched it. So it's lots of people emailing me saying, wow, this was really cool. A few people giving me some useful feedback on what to do next time. So it's online now. It's super affordable. It's a 21-day program to take you on this breakthrough journey with anything that you want to break through. It's totally neutral. It's a tool to take you on any breakthrough you want.
And everything is on nickjankel.com, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now you're going to be leaving here to L.A. here, and we're going to see you probably, in another, how long is that flight? When do you leave the U.K.? Just indulge me for a second.
I'm going to leave the UK at midday, and I arrive in actually San Francisco first at 3 p.m. And doing a keynote San Francisco, and then I come to LA on Friday.
Oh, okay. So you're not actually going to be in LA on Thursday. You're going to be here on Friday. But so it sounds like 12 hours. Wow.
About that, yeah.
Oh, so goodness gracious. Okay.
As well as journeys where you watch 3 movies and you still have got like 6 hours to go.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, it just sounds so painful. And what is your presentation going to be on at the Conscious Life Expo?
So I'm going to go pretty deep into what a breakthrough is, what's happening in the brain, the latest information we know about the biology of creativity, and this breakthrough shape I was telling you about, this breakthrough curve. I'm going to talk about where you can see it in nature, different types of places, and question where does creativity come from, what is it, and how do we tap into it, how do we become a channel for creativity?
What do you mean a curve in nature? Give me a little taste. That sounded really interesting.
So my work has discovered this curve, which is the shape of a J, the letter J. And this is what I call the breakthrough curve. And every breakthrough I've ever seen in any level of, it's like a fractal shape, follows this curve. And the curve is basically things get worse before they get better, or things get more chaotic before they get more ordered.
So, okay, that reminds me of the Japanese or the Chinese philosopher guy. You've got to go up before you go down. You've got to go left before you go right. Is that? And it's always true. No matter what, it's always true. And is that what you're referring to with the letter J? No matter what, it's always going to get crazier before it gets better. Oh, I think we lost Nick again. Nick, are you there?
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
okay.
Ticket chopped out. Yeah, you've got to go up before you go down. You've got to go down before you go up. Wax on, wax off. Or rather, wax off, wax on.
Yes.
I say to my clients, whether they're individuals, kids, big organizations, you've got to release before you receive. The new innovation, your new idea, the breakthrough will not happen until you learn how to let go of your old beliefs, your old habits, your old moods. And that is the challenge of life, because the last thing you want to do is let go of things that make us feel right. And that's the challenge of breakthrough. It's to let go before we get.
Yeah, because it's hard.
It's super hard. It's super hard.
Yeah.
We have those habits for a reason. They've worked for us in some way. So to let go of them is, super, super challenging at any level to let go.
Thank you so much, Nick. Fascinating conversation tonight, and we'll see you in about 48 hours right here in Los Angeles, California. First drink is on me. All right?
Brilliant.
Behave. Thank you so much, Nick. Have safe travels. Have a safe flight, and we'll see you here in Los Angeles on Friday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. Fascinating conversation. Nick Jankel will be here in Los Angeles, Conscious Life Expo this Friday. With that, I'm going to take a short break, And I'm going to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. Lots to talk about tonight. 323-825-5045. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth, and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. That goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Nick Jankel. Thank you so much. Fascinating conversation. We're right there, aren't we? We're right on the edge. He says consciousness isn't going to go there. I'm not so sure. Not if DARPA has anything to do with it, or Sandia, no doubt. That's all they want to be able to do. Can you imagine if you can get consciousness into a drone with missiles on it? You know what? Think about that. That's what they want. They want autonomous everything. RoboCop. Think about that. All right. Phone lines are open. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Let's take some calls. And I just, during the break, for grins, I know I don't do this. I just did it for grins. And I jumped over to CNN. 1, 2, 3. Third headline down. Conspiracy theories in Scalia death. It's right here. Unbelievable, man. Conspiracy theories going mainstream. And Antonin. There you go, Anthony. So there you go. It's right there. We've gone mainstream, folks. Kind of hurts. I want this to be kept to ourselves. But there it is, right there on CNN. All right. 323-825-5045. I'll wait till things cycle through, and we'll take some phone calls. Next, the news on this broke today, and I almost didn't believe it. And I had to go and find out for myself because it was all over social media. It was everywhere. And apparently, if you're behind on student loan payments right now and you live in the state of Texas, it's going to affect a lot more than your credit score because U.S. Marshals right now in Houston are arresting people who aren't paying their federal student debt. Now, I was alarmed by this. It's pretty. Aren't there laws against this? I thought, right? Debtor prison. I mean, right? And apparently it's happening. And I'm not too sure how to take this. It isn't the first time the marshals have served someone for being behind on loans. And I didn't know about this until today. I didn't know a federal marshal could come and knock on your house and throw handcuffs on you. They are planning to serve between 1,200 and 1,500 other people who have student debt. One of the students that they arrested today, $1,500. Not $30,000, not $100,000, not $25,000, $1,500. Came knocking on his door, threw cuffs on him, took him in front of a judge. And apparently he had to sign papers right there to agree to loan payments to get let go. Right now in America. How can private debt collectors be able to use U.S. Marshals as their very own muscle? You know, their dog, the bounty hunter, U.S. Marshals, to go and retrieve payments for loans as if the phone calls weren't enough, right? Well, this is what I found out. Unlike any other forms of debt, student loans cannot be discharged through bankruptcy law. Okay? They also have higher interest rates, and that's because it's a riskier loan. There's usually a genuine lack of collateral behind the loan. Governments and collection agencies are allowed to use tactics that are prohibited for other types of loans, such as they can seize your tax refund if you don't pay your student loan. I didn't know that. They can take part of your disability payments if you are behind on your student loan payments, right? You're working, you're making your student payment, you get in a car accident, whatever, you go on disability. They can do that. They can also garnish your wages. All of it without a court order. Then I found out almost 71% of bachelor's degrees right now, those recipients who graduate with a student loan and those graduating in 2015 have an average debt from a school of over $35,000 in this country. Education should be free. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Andy in Las Vegas.
Hey, Andy in Las Vegas. You're a little muffled.
Oh, where am I?
Oh, there. Okay.
Let me see if I can get it better here. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, it is. It is. How you doing?
Okay. Oh, pretty good. This is the first time I've listened to your show. I've heard you on Coast, of course, and you've got the most infectiously friendly exuberant voice I've heard in quite some time. It's a really good voice.
Well, you should tell my wife and kids that. Maybe it'll change their mind. Trust me, they can't stand it.
Well, yeah, I would like to hear more about you, because, of course, you only got that short, one day every couple of weeks or something, whatever it is that you do on Coast there. And I don't know anything about you, but other than you got a great voice, you're a great interviewer, and I think you've been just doing great on the Coast.
Well, what you should do, Andy, see, this is the thing, and this is what's great about this show, Fade to Black. The first thing is it's my show, right? So I can do what I want. Right. That's the first thing. Second, we're live every single night from 7 to 10 right before Coast. Yeah. So you can come in and listen to this show just like you're doing now, and then go check out Coast. That's all done with intention, by the way. And so, so you can listen to both shows. But then, now that this is the first time that you've listened to the show, and certainly called in, and thank you for that, which is come hang out with us every night, because we're live 7 to 10 Monday through Thursday, and then the weekends I'm over on Coast. But if you come in and hang out here, unfortunately, I wear everybody out with the things about my life and our life and my wife's life. And so you're going to get to hear all of that. So hopefully, Andy, you'll call back and go, okay, church, enough of you. Can we talk about other stuff? All right. Is that a deal?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, man. I really appreciate the phone call, Andy, and thank you so much, man. Nice
talking with you.
It's a tough gig that we do here, believe it or not. It's hard, and when I get a random call from you saying stuff like that, you know what? It just lets us know that we're on target. And thank you so much, Andy, for getting it.
Okay, very good.
I'll talk to you soon. There you go. Now that was a cool phone call. That doesn't happen often, does it? 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Andy brought up a good point, though. He listened to me on Coast, and now he's over here on Fade to Black. Great. Fantastic. Love it. But that also means that there are quite a few listeners today, or, since Coast, that come in and listen to the show for the first time. They've heard Coast, and then they're over here for the first time. So I guess I got to reiterate for them, or say once again, this show is a long-form conversation show, okay, for all of the new listeners. What you are used to over at Coast or overnight, late-night talk radio that certainly talk about alternative views, that's what we do here. But what I do here that is different than anybody else out there. They say they do. They don't. I don't have questions in front of me. I don't. I don't do it on Coast, and I don't do it here. I know my guest. I know the subject, and I'm here to have fun and learn something. I just want to have an open conversation, just like if Nick was literally sitting in my living room, I would want to know certain things. And that conversation is going to go in a direction that you do when you're sitting talking to a friend. That's what this show is. It will never be anything but that. I wish I could invite all of you once to come into the bunker and see how we do a show. I think you would be shocked to find out that the screens that are in front of me have Twitter on one, have email on another, and phone calls coming in on the screen that's in front of me. The screen to my right, the fourth screen, is the network feed that goes out to the network. Other than that, that's it. There are no questions. I don't have somebody's website up in front of me. I'm not reading about them in real time. I'm not doing. There's none of that. And when I hear other shows, I could be driving in my car. And when I hear somebody interviewing somebody in the middle of the day or whatever, and I hear it, I can tell when they've got 5 or 10 questions that a publicist has sent them, and they're reading them right, bam, 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 and you hear the answer come too quickly. I need to have, when I'm talking to somebody here, just like when you're sitting in a restaurant talking to somebody, I need somebody to pause before they answer, because they have to think about what they need to say and how they're going to answer the question. That's important to me, because then I know they've never been asked this question before, certainly not that way. So, Andy, that is exactly what this show is. It's a challenge to do every single day. I make sure that, and our staff here, I make sure that we bring on people that I'm interested in. We get all day long, we get requests to come on the show and be interviewed, because people want to come in and be part of the magic and get exposed and have this. We have to say no to nearly 100%. I'm not saying don't approach us, but unless I know the subject and I know the guest and I want to do it, it ain't going to happen. It's just not, because the audience can tell that I want to have somebody on the show. They can tell if I'm going to have one of those conversations. That's it. And that's what sets us apart from everybody else. When guests come on the show, we are going to have a 2.5-hour conversation that is engaging, and I am sitting here learning along with the audience at the same time. So there you go. I do this speech maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, but I haven't done it in a while, so I just did it again. All right? All right. 323-825-5045. Let's go back to the phones. Hey, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Dino.
Jimmy.
Hey, Dino.
Hey, I'm feeling pretty good tonight, but, sometimes we don't get any respect with all the bad news coming down lately. But I just wanted to say, with all these people dying, but you knew who Dan Hicks was, right? Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks?
Of course.
Yeah, and I just have a feeling. There's one song that I turned on a couple of Fadernauts to recently. It was a song on his Beatin' the Heat CD, and it's called Hell I'd Go. And it would be a perfect song for our show here on Fade to Black. I've got to see if I can talk to his wife to see about letting you use it. Have you seen the lyrics to that?
No, I haven't, but...
very clever. Songs like, hey there, silly, skinny spaceman, can't you see I'm on the lam? And I think the guy had seen flying saucers, because he's got stuff like, he says, my bags are packed and I got my shots. Come on, shorty, read my thoughts.
Yeah. You're right. I remember that. Dan was a player. He was a songsmith. And he looked really cool, too. He had he was the whole package.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
6'4", driving around town in an old Cadillac with clothes he bought, vintage cowboy-type clothes and hipster clothes he bought at a second-hand store. He put Charlie Sheen on his TV show to shame with the fashion he had.
Yeah, so what he passed away, but did you just go on a Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks binge, which is fine because it's great.
I was listening, and I had a 3-day weekend, and I was listening, and he's friends with the local record store guy here, and he put it out on his blast, his internet blast to all the record store customers, and I got to see Dan 2 times in the last 2 years. He'd come into the record store and just hang out, and he was a regular guy. He lived for many years in one place, and he even disbanded the Hot Licks because he said they were all his friends years ago, and they started arguing, and he said, I had a little bit of money, so what the heck? He said, I didn't need all the fame.
I'll tell you, I have to ask, because he's got his public image, but did he dress like that normally? Was he walking down the street?
I saw him before he got cancer the last time. He came into the store with a guy with a camera. He was going to film a internet commercial about his latest CD he was working on. And, he was always running around. He had big old feet. He must have had a size 13 shoe. And you'd see him in the old Cadillac. I saw him shopping with his wife, and you'd yell out, "Hey, Dan!" And he'd look at you, wave. He was a Sagittarian, though. He kind of beat to his own drummer. He'd smile at you if he wanted to, but he basically was on his own trip.
Right. But he always wore the cool shoes. Always had the cool guitar. Always had the, he had a look, man. Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks. That is so funny.
And it was so wonderful that just 2 years ago, before he got sick, he actually played the Ralph K. Davies Symphony Hall, which is a big symphony hall in San Francisco. And, some people couldn't categorize his music, but he called it sometimes folk jazz, and he had the kind of scat singing and such. But he had Tom Waits he influenced. Tom Waits came to sing with him on his CD, and also I think live. Ricky Lee Jones came to sing with him. Bette Midler came to sing with him. Bonnie Raitt. He influenced a lot of people.
That's interesting that you bring up Tom Waits, because he was like the Tom Waits of guitar. That's that's a very, very cool way to put it. And I could see Ricky Lee, because she's from up there too as well. Yeah, that small circle, I could see him being part of all of that. But what was I going? Vanity died yesterday.
Yeah, they just keep dying, and we're only 2 months into the year. I mean, all these pop and Paul Kantner, and it just goes on and on.
Well, what did I say? Look, this was the harsh reality for me about, I said it last month. I said, we need to really get ready to grab hold of our emotions here, because everything, for the first time in history, we've never been so connected to our heroes, growing up through, and I'm not talking about the internet, and that is today certainly true, but I'm talking about stereos, cassette tapes, and the ability to take our music with us and high fidelity and enjoy, and then combine that with all of the fan magazines that were out there. So we thought we were part of Peter Frampton's world, right? Or the Led Zeppelin, or Boston, or Ted Nugent, or Santana, the Monkey, whatever. It doesn't matter. And then you take that influence and you roll that into the 80s, and MTV rolls along. Now suddenly we're really a part of their lives. And it was fun. It was great, Dino, to be to feel like we were with them. Well, now we've got an emotional vested contract with our hearts. Right? And no matter what you think, Ozzy Osbourne or Tony Iommi or Ted Nugent or Santana or Paul McCartney or on and on, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about 1970, and moving forward, that was 50 years ago. So if you think about that, if somebody, our biggest, heroes in 1975, are 75 years old today, are 70, 75. They're not going to live to the year 200, and so we need to really understand emotionally where we are with this investment that we made that was so fun to do in the 70s and 80s, that we are now going to have to deal with them leaving us and going to another place.
Hearts. You're very correct. It's close to our hearts, and with the media everywhere. I mean, if I'm on a tense drive, when I drove down to Contact in the desert, I was a bit nervous about driving in the desert alone for many hours. And you got the satellite radio. I had Grateful Dead on the whole time. They keep me calm. I feel like I know all of them, and that's what happens with all these groups and that we attach to, and they become part of us. And as we get older, they are a part of us. And as we know from your program, if someone is a time traveler, I mean, heck, we just found out that gravity is a waveform. So maybe some of these time traveler folks are true. But time travels at different rates for the heart. I sometimes can't believe how old I am, because I still think I'm young. And then I look in the mirror and I go, whoa.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And to think about somebody like David Bowie, right, who we honestly, all kidding aside, that guy wasn't going anywhere, right? He was going to be with us forever. And there was just that, it caught us all by surprise. But we all had he affected so many different parts of society. He had, the punk and the new wave and rock and industrial music and dance music. He captured such a wide range of markets and people and musical styles that it wasn't some singular thing, And then it just crushed us. It crushed, and it just made me realize, you know what? This could start happening like a lot. Because
it will happen, and we have to be prepared for it, but it doesn't make it any easier. I mean, God forbid, if I live long enough that Paul McCartney dies, that's going to be a real bummer.
Yeah, but you know what? And I don't even like talking about it or suggesting, some name. I just don't want to do it. I really, really don't. I just don't want to go there. Because I know that I've got emotional investments like everybody else does, and everybody knows where my musical taste is and who I love and stuff. And unfortunately, life works the way that it does. But we really have to be careful about, we didn't know. See, this is my point. We didn't know that it would eventually have this effect. You know why? Because in the 70s and the 80s, when all of us were kids, and in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, I've talked about this, is that life lasts forever. It does. When you're 20 years old, when you're 15 years old, life is 1,000,000 years long. We don't get that. So we enjoy this connectivity and this emotional connection and this investment that we're doing. And you read about everything about somebody's lives. You know what kind of socks they love to wear and what kind of dog they have at home. And you're part of their lives. Well, okay, that's great. But we never took into consideration that, making this investment and enjoying that eventually we would have to pay it back. That there was going to be a point where we're going to be crushed. Is it better to keep your distance, than get inside of somebody's life? And that's what you remember those magazines like Teen Beat or whatever. I don't even know.
Tiger Beat and all that.
Yeah, Tiger Beat, Hit Parader, all those, even Rolling Stone or whatever, where you were, a part of these lives. And it was great. Let's go into... Pick somebody. I don't even know. Let's go into Donny Osmond's house. Well, you don't need to know that, but you did, and you had that kind of access. So you go and you do that, and it's fun. It's great. But what we didn't understand then that we are starting to realize now that we've made that investment, and now potentially emotionally we're going to be crushed because we feel like a member of our family has left us.
That's it. And you ask any teenager, when we were teenagers, time moves so slowly. We can't wait till next month. And now, as we're older, and some of us have our own kids, time just, here comes Christmas again. Whoop, here it is again. It moves too fast. And our parents sometimes made fun of our crushes, just like their parents made fun of them listening to Frank Sinatra. But it became part of our lives, and it is and will always be. These personalities are part of who we are.
Thank you so much, Dino. I got to fly, brother. I'll see you tomorrow night here.
I will be listening. Good night.
It's going to be a big night. Thank you so much. Yeah, tomorrow night, Steve and Dawn Hess. Yeah, and Ron Felber are going to be right here. What a great show tonight. Don't want to leave on a bummer note. I'm just trying to let everybody know we need to kind of prepare ourselves emotionally for what can, be happening over the next few years. Think about that. Oh, I just did the wrong. That's what I get. I need a full-time engineer in here. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dennis. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Faded by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, Steve and Dawn Hess with a little Ron Felber thrown in to keep this show on even keel. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Faded Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to be safe. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Go back, Lee Tapping.